Hey team, welcome to the latest episode of Accidental Business Owners.
The premise of the show is that 12 months ago, Seamus and I left our full-time jobs to go all in on podcast and the businesses we built off the side of it, and thought it would be interesting to document our journey.
We also linked up with a business and mindset coach, Di Foster, who you might remember as a guest on the Between Two Beers podcast, who is the perfect foil for us to chart the highs and lows of our business journey.
So this episode is a Q&A. We invited listeners to send in their questions and we spend the episode answering them.
Keep an eye out for the zero listener question as well. That'll be in the middle of the episode. And as always, Accidental Business Owners is brought to you by Icehouse. Icehouse is a community for Kiwis wanting to take their business to the next level. Their practical programs, one-on-one business coaching and short workshops are designed specifically for people who own and manage their businesses and the leaders they back to get things done. To learn more, visit theicehouse.co.nz. Enjoy.
Welcome to the latest episode of Accidental Business Owners, a show that takes you...
Nah, don't do that. We've already done that.
That's how we start. You don't listen to our ambassador show. That's how I start ambassadors. And
I'm looking at you really confused.
People have started quoting it back to me, and Seamus attempted to retell it word for word.
I think I did a pretty good job. You didn't do the big inhale of breath.
Welcome to the latest episode of Anyway, funny way to start. How are you doing, Di?
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I think I brought my energy like I was told to today.
I did. I told Di to bring some
passion.
good air. I said, don't fabricate it, but
My energy.
if you're feeling good.
What, you guys all good? You guys
I don't know.
You guys
It's the
all
end of the
good?
week.
We've got
It's been a
we've got the fun bag open, so it's a bit of it's a fun episode.
Yep.
We
It
get
is.
a lot of feedback, good, bad, and different, on Accidental Business Owners, but sometimes we get a lot of good questions. So I don't know whether we'll be able to answer all of these in this episode, but shall we give a crack? Should we give it a crack at a few of them?
Yeah,
Give it a crack.
we cast a net during the week asking our listeners to send in their questions, and we are here to answer them. We've got
Here we
Di,
go.
who's going to give the really kind of wise answer, and Shay and I to give our...
Honest answer. Or first
Is
answer.
that saying Di's not honest?
No, it's a reflection of you going for the right answer. We want you to go to
shots
the
fired.
answer. Yeah,
I
that's fine.
didn't think that deeply, but yeah, good.
Why, thank
Very
you.
good, very good.
Okay, play on.
So the first question is to both of you. What has been the most surprising outcome from a live coaching session that you did not expect? Can I answer that for you?
One jumps to the top of mind.
Well, that's not for you to answer that one. If that's the same one that you're thinking about. Who do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? I'll go first.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't expect during our exchange in a famous episode for the penny to really drop in real time about what you were actually doing. So if you watch back the episode of me and Di's one-on-one, which got quite crunchy in the middle of it, someone asked me, they were like, you kind of were just sitting there taking it, and I could see the look on your face, but I could also see the wheels turning in your brain. And as you were coming at me with that stuff, I wasn't getting... Some people are like, I'd never let anyone speak to me like that, and I can't believe you let her speak to you like that. But actually, in the moment, I was going, ooh, okay, right. And it was, the wheels were really turning around about what you were saying, why you were saying, and I was replaying the day back in my mind. I had it wrong initially, what I thought was the catalyst for you to feel that way. And then afterwards, when you explained it, I was really, so it was that kind of penny drop lightning rod moment for me in that coaching session to, rather than be like stung and upset and hurt, I was probably quiet and reflective more because I was really thinking through the steps that got us there.
Yeah, I think reflection is an interesting thing because I hold an incredibly safe space for you guys, and that might not come across when someone sees me coming at you like that, but it is a safe space and I will catch you, and it's like trying to point you to look at something that is there, because my whole intention is that I want you to learn and grow or move towards what it is that you've said you want to go towards.
So I don't know so you text me 30 minutes after you said, how are you feeling? Do you think I'm a bitch? And I said, no. I should have said yes. I said,
You've got to go back with yes on that. You've got to.
I said, no, I'm very self-reflective. And you said, good.
Yeah.
Let's talk in an hour.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that was the response that you were hoping for, and maybe you were. I don't know if you were surprised that
No.
that you got the outcome that you wanted.
No, I would not have taken you there unless I knew you were ready. I can honestly say that. I would never speak to somebody like that and to do it in that way if I knew that they didn't need a good shaking, because of all of the things that I know about you that not everyone else does. And, it was like, I just knew it was time. And yeah.
Just a question back before we get to Stevie. Though, were you at all surprised about how that all panned out? Because I remember thinking, I don't even remember how we got there. But like, did that surprise you that you almost had the brain fade as to how we got there as well? Because I feel like you said the same thing to me. It's like, I don't know how we got there, but we got there.
Yeah, I know that when I'm super present and something is super intense, then I'm so in the moment, I'm not storing it in my memory, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
So I wasn't surprised that I couldn't remember what had happened. And not that I couldn't remember what had happened, but exactly what we said. And because I think that when I listened back, I was like, there's so much in that episode that is not said.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many things. Like, you and I are very good friends, and there's so much there that is not said. And like, I know that just sometimes with the look of an eye, you're like, you will read a whole story into that. And I'm like, like, before we started, you were like, is my hair okay? And I was like, yeah, I did look at your hair. And you were like, shit, what's she thinking?
She thinks it looks good. Anyway, sorry, live coaching session that has surprised you? I think I feel like I know where you're going to go with this one, but
do you?
I'd love to be surprised.
I'm trying to think of the right way to frame it, but it's about how much I care for my family, which is a weird thing. It's a weird realization to have. I think it comes from like these conversations, this thing we've created. They're not normal conversations that I would have with anyone else. And so before you, I'd never had a coaching session or therapy or anything like that. And so I don't talk about my family with other people.
Yeah.
Like I would never have a conversation with someone about, the struggles of business and family and how I want to make more time for my wife, or how I'm not with my kids and all that sort of stuff. So any time that I talk about my family, like I get super emotional and I'm like, wow, like that really surprised me.
Get those tears, man, when they come.
Yeah. Like, right. That was one of our first episodes.
Yes.
And it was just like, I was just trying to, I can't remember, I was talking about how I was trying to support my family. And then, so yeah, it's not like I didn't know I loved my family, but it's kind of, I don't know, the way that brought out emotion in me.
As raw as it is.
Yeah.
Did you try and keep that in? And you just couldn't?
He did for a split second, and then it was like the floodgates opened and it was all over.
Yeah, no, I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's been enough clips of me crying now that, it's not a surprise to anyone. But
it's interesting. We had a chat this week, and I went just in a cafe. I was talking to Steve about something, and then I just went, and I was like, fuck. I was like trying to rein it in. I was like, oh no, I can't. And then I ended up doing this weird thing. I don't know if you noticed. I said this the other day. I'd ended up sitting on my hands, like kind of uncomfortably, like as if that would somehow distract me from, I don't know what I was doing. But anyway, emotion's a weird thing in conversation.
That cafe, like they must have witnessed, there's been so many times with like one of us crying. These guys like live here.
Yeah.
What do they do?
When we were prepping for that one episode, and you were sitting there running, you were just like, like you went against, like, you okay, man? Oh dear. Oh, emotion,
Yeah.
Emotion.
What about you? You must have some good ones, though. You must have some. What can you tell us? What can you say?
I think what surprises me from coaching sessions is I don't get to experience or see the change necessarily. So you do a coaching session, and a lot of the sort of penny drop moments or, the reflection happens when you're not there. So I don't, the one thing I would observe about my clients is that I would say that quite often the work that we do is small shifts, small perspective shifts, mindset shifts, all of that sort of stuff. And so their life doesn't look different from the outside, but I always know, or the feedback that I get is that their world feels entirely different than it was before they saw me. So it's kind of like that weird sort of, I'm kind of, I don't necessarily get to see it all.
But have you had a client that you weren't sure whether you would make a difference, and then they've had like a ridiculous growth?
Yeah, I definitely feel sometimes I have clients where I look at them and think, I wonder why they're here. Really like highly successful people, and I'm like, it blows my mind. And quite often they're the ones that I have the most impact with because I dare to challenge them. So everyone else is telling them that they're, really great. And I was in a situation recently, and there was a group of about 5 of us, and we were helping out one of the women who's a really highly regarded coach out of Australia, and everyone was being so complimentary, and she had a problem, and everyone quietly went away, and I just said to her, I don't think that was helpful. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, I think they're being too nice. I don't think you're that good. Because if you're as good as all of that, you wouldn't have this problem. And so we had this really, really confronting conversation where I just pulled it apart, not because I wanted to be a bitch, but because I could see that what she wanted was on the other side of that conversation. And it led to her reflecting with someone that had heard her speak quite a number of times. And by the end of that conversation, she had the answer. And so, yeah, it's a funny space. So quite often I'm like, who am I to say this? But I'll give it a bash, and I'm happy to hold the space for somebody.
But that's why I linked up with you in the first place. I was at this point where everyone's like, oh my God, things are going so great between you guys are killing it. And I was like, I need someone to pull it apart. I need someone to get in there and tell me where the blind spots are and what we're messing up. And
which is super interesting because I purposely did not listen to one single of your episodes before we had our first session. I don't even think I listened to one before I was interviewed by yous. And I did that really, really on purpose because I wanted to hear from you. I wanted to hear in your words. I didn't want to hear what my experience was as a listener. I just wanted to hear what it was like for you and what your problem was or what you thought, not what I heard.
Good move.
Got to move this along because otherwise we won't get through all of these fun bag questions. But Di, this one seems oddly specifically for you. Di, what are the most common mindset shifts you encourage business owners to make for growth and success? Now, I don't know if you want to approach this as a case study with me and Stephen, or you want to just talk broad.
And tell her how to answer it, bro.
Yeah, or just talk broadly.
I'm capable of answering on my own. Thanks very much for the guidance, though.
Just mansplaining.
I think like the single thing is the story that people tell themselves. So whatever it is that has happened in your life, you've told yourself a story about it, you've formed beliefs and affirmations about it and thoughts, and then that affects your actions, and then that will affect the future events in your life. So simply shifting the story that you are telling yourself about things. So my darling husband would say that I never let the facts get in the way of a good story, and what I would say is that the stories that I try and tell myself or I reframe for myself are for the benefit of the future version of myself. And so shifting clients' stories is probably the biggest mindset shift.
All right, I'm going to use this little break as an opportunity to hijack the fun bag to go into our zero listener question.
But this can still be fun.
Well, definitely, it'll be a fun question. Well, I don't actually know what we've got in the zero. Don't know what we've got from zero. But look, this question is brought to you by Xero, your business supercharged. And like I did last episode, guys, I've used technology and loaded this one up. So here goes the zero listener question.
Hey team, got a question for you. How valuable is mentorship in business growth, and what should I look for in a mentor? Love ABO and your guys' vulnerability. Cheers.
Ooh, he's
used the vulnerability word.
He's fallen into the podcast trap of vulnerability. Mentorship.
In a previous episode, it was one of the most important pieces of advice for new business owners is put good people around you. That for me includes mentors. And I've got lots of them. I think that is part of the beauty of the podcast is we have these exceptional chats and really deep relationships with some of New Zealand's most incredible business people and sports people and coaches, and a lot of them become friends. So we've got Di and Maddie, and that's our advisory group, and they have just been unbelievably helpful. But then there's, I'm not going to name them, but I would say half a dozen former guests that I'm regularly in contact with, all different levels of success, that I regularly, can pick their brain out, or they'll send me a message when they say something and we have a bit of back and forth. So always looking to learn and grow. Like, I think if I had to say what one of my biggest strengths are, it's that thirst for always getting better. And so I just love meeting and talking to people that have been there, done that, and have some wisdom to share.
I'm very different to you in that I am a little bit more selective in the voices that I take advice from. So I might hear lots of different opinions, but I said this about Di when we first, when you were first trying to force her on me. I was like, my viewpoint was I feel like I've got enough voices in my life right now. I don't need another one. But then I think the key to it is the relationship that or the rapport that you strike with that person in terms of the mental. Like, it's got to be a fit. It's got to work. So I think you might try a few people, and I've had lots of different people along my life that have advised me on, or I've looked to for advice in different areas. But I think fundamentally there's got to be a value kind of alignment between the two of you, and that's something that I looked out for. And I think I found common ground with Di quite quickly when we started working together. And then at that point I was like, okay, this is a new person that I will now look to for advice. So sometimes by accident and sometimes by design, but I think definitely that value alignment is a really important thing for me personally.
I think the mentorship or the mentor word is interesting in itself, because that is a difference from a coach, because mentor is generally someone that has already done it. So that's the first thing I'd say. So generally speaking, I'm assuming that you want growth. So you're in a mentor, you're looking for somebody that has been on that path before. I think they're incredibly valuable, obviously. I probably use coaches more than I do mentors myself. I have three coaches that I'm not using all at once. One of them I use quite a bit, and then I've got another two. One I'm going to use later in the year for a very specific reason. So what I do is I look at what I'm really, really strong at, and I go and find somebody to help me in an area that I'm not so strong in my business with, because at this point in time I'm looking for high growth. So I would say it's good. So where mentors are, they've normally done what you're looking to do. Coaches are more around balancing, an area that maybe you're not quite so good at. So sometimes with a coach, it's not that they've done it or trying to do what you're doing, but you want that little piece of the puzzle. So I think it depends a lot on where you're at, what you're looking for, and why.
So to clarify, you're not a mentor to me. You're putting yourself in the coach business advisor bracket, because you've been there, done that as well. So I'm using you in both capacities.
And that's fine. I just wanted to be clear for the listener that there is a difference.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm that to you, knock yourself out.
You're all things. You're all
things to you. Someone said to me the other day, "What's your relationship like with the boys?" And I said, "I consider myself like an auntie, a business auntie."
That's nice. Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, I like that.
You know how I tell your auntie things that she doesn't know because she's too old? That's a relationship we have.
Red Dragon.
Red Dragon.
To business. Yeah.
Look, hey, thanks, Zero, for that listener question. If you are interested, Zero has changed us and our business. You can get onto xero.com and try for 30 days.
It has supercharged the boys.
It has, and there are some terms that apply there, guys, too.
Love that.
Hey, back to the fun bag.
All right, next question. How do you ensure personal growth aligns with business growth?
I'm glad my question got in there.
And then we go back to the 10,000-day exercise and the North Star. I think I might make a promise that by the time this episode airs, I will have a YouTube video explaining this, because this is a very important question. How you align it is by knowing exactly where you want to go. That is the answer. Next.
No.
I feel like they feel short. I feel like whoever answers this question, i.e. me, feels a bit shortchanged by that.
What's the difference? What's personal growth?
If I was to layer them up, I would say that you're in business because you want to achieve something personally. So you align them together. And so by knowing what you want personally in the long term, then justifies or aligns what you do business-wise. Because like we've just talked about, you guys can have quite a lot of growth opportunities, but if it's going to burn you out, then that's not aligning with you personally. So you say no to those things that are not at the right time, age, stage and phase or whatever that is. So you're constantly weighing up business growth versus your capacity or your alignment with what you want personally.
I remember I asked you in one of the early episodes if you can separate business and personal, and you can't really. They're sort of blurred and overlapped, right? So it would make sense that your personal growth is aligned to your business growth.
Business is like the quickest way to get personal growth because it shows up all of your stuff as you go, because it's quite challenging in so many areas. At least that's what I would say. It's the same as balance. Balance is just overall, am I doing the right thing? You know, am I oscillating between family and work? And it's that word oscillation again. Balance is simply, am I able to move through the things that I need to move through in life? So it's never about, is everything perfect? Because some weeks we can have massive weeks, and other weeks it's like, I'm just going to stay at home for an extra hour because I need to, you know, an extra coffee or whatever it is. So it's oscillating between those two things. There's not one point that's perfect balance. Just like there's not one point of perfect personal growth and business growth. It's a little bit of a mishmash as we go.
And the two don't travel at the same pace either, right?
Who
Or do
knows? Well, no, I don't think they do necessarily, because people can have amazing business growth and they've learnt absolutely nothing themselves personally. And that'll catch up at some stage, but that's just how it is. Depends on your values.
Yeah. Nice. Well answered. Okay, question. How do you measure success in your business and podcast? And has that metric changed over time? This is a good question. You got a good answer, Shay?
I mean, when we first started, it was four pieces of feedback. was the measure for a good episode. Can I be honest? I don't really have a measure of success, and maybe that's a gaping hole in my kind of vision. I'm a feel guy. If I feel good about an episode, I feel like we've done a good job. That's not a success metric though. And I feel like download numbers or like the numbers, they don't necessarily lie, but I also feel like there's some really good episodes that we've done that haven't got good numbers, and there's other episodes that have got incredible numbers, and it comes down to the marketing game, the hook, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens in between it.
I would say there's lots of different ways to measure success. In the business, like the biggest measure of success is the money you bring in, right?
Like being solvent is that's the new term I learned this year.
Is the score sheet is the revenue that comes in. So that's easy to measure year on year how much you've grown. With the podcast, there's all sorts of metrics and stats that we can see how we've grown as well. There's audio download numbers, there's YouTube, there's the size of our social media channels, there's views on reels and things like that. So we can see that our audience is growing. I think probably the more important metric is becoming engagement and how many people are actually interacting with what we're putting out there. Raving fans is something we've talked about, people that, you know, are raving about us to their friends. How do you measure that?
How do you measure that?
Well, we've got our closed community on Facebook, which we need to do a better job on. You can see how many people are commenting. You can see how long people are sticking around on episodes and in YouTube. So there's all sorts of like measurement metrics. But I don't know, like we talk a lot about community. I don't feel like we've done a very good job at actually building it. Like we do it through these shows. Like we're very good at through ABO, people find us relatable and they learn from it. Ambassadors, we let people in behind the scenes. But in terms of actually bringing our listeners together So it's not us always driving it. So they're interacting together. Like we had Jay Reeve on from The Rock, and he's got a Not For Radio podcast, and they've got a community on their Facebook page of 200,000 people. I look at the morning shift, and those guys are killing it, and they've got a closed Facebook group. Their Facebook group is just the best thing. I don't know if are you part of it? So they have all of their listeners, all of their community comes in, and they're asking each other questions, and there'll be hundreds of comments of people giving the answers, and it's a real community. Like it's the best and biggest community I've seen online. Like those guys are killing it. So that's kind of why we set up our Facebook page initially, and it's got 3,500 people in it. It's nothing compared to these big numbers, but the goal, I think, of measuring our success is can we mobilize our listeners to sort of help each other out and, work for each other?
And that, I think, comes down to you guys showing up and wanting to put the time and energy into it.
Prioritizing it,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
I'm going to answer this question for you because I'm going to wrap it up a little bit, or can bring it in a little bit more concise. I think it has changed over time, and here's why. I think the original measure of success is that sponsorship money started coming in. Mm-hmm. And then I think the change was that the second measure of success was that there was enough money coming in that it could pay Steve full time. And then the third measure of success was that the two guys could be paid full time, and they were both in. And now the fourth measure of success is not revenue. I'm just going to clarify that, because revenue is vanity and profit is sanity. And now that we're moving much more towards a company situation, the measure of success comes down to profit. So once the guys are paid, is the company making money? So I believe that the success in terms of the business side of things has very much changed over time. And then the second thing I'd say around the podcast is that I think that previously there was a great emphasis on, EP numbers, the downloads, and now we're working more towards the ecosystem, which is made up of a number of different numbers.
But I think listening to that, it's actually nailing down what the metric is so that we actually do know what success looks like. Because I think we like that was an example of us just fucking making it up as we went along.
And I'd just like to say scoreboard. I'm pretty sure that we've had that conversation a number of times.
I did a scoreboard, but I did my version of a scoreboard.
Yeah. I think in one of these, next time we get together, I would love to give me a whiteboard. We're going to mic me up, I'm going to do a whiteboard, and I'm going to take you through a proper 10,000 days to now, and I'm going to do the proper 100-day projects in the middle, because when we're doing our advisory meetings, we're not getting those 100-day projects quite to the right level that I believe we need to. And that's part of in the business versus on the business. And I know Maddie and I have been pulling you through, but it's like we're getting to that stage where it's like we need to be much more focused on the business rather than just that, whoa, it's so busy. Like our lives are so full. It's like, yep, welcome to the world of owning your own business.
I feel like this is a nice jump off point for a little one-on-one between you two.
Let's go.
Can I use this as an opportunity to maybe excuse myself and leave you guys to do that on the next episode? What do you reckon?
I'll just leave you with that thought. Have a great day. See you, boys.
Cheers, bye.